All right, so we all know that TV marketing in 2025 is just one big trap, and it's been like that for a while. You walk into any store, you see Neo QLED, ULED X, QNED, QD-OLED. It all just kind of starts to blend together. So what's really going on here? Are they different or are they the same? The truth is that TVs are so much better than they've ever been. It's just that the branding is a complete mess. So let's cut through all the noise and all the nonsense. Today, I'm going to tell you which ones are actually worth buying. So let's get started. All right, so the good news for you is that it's much simpler than you think. There's really only two kinds of TVs that you can get. You've got OLED TVs where each pixel lights up on its own independently to produce the image that you see on the TV. Then everything else is an LCD TV. Those rely on an entire backlight layer to illuminate the picture that you're seeing on the TV. So all the other technologies that you hear, QLED, MiniLED, ULED, QNED, they're all just marketing names that sort of inform you which lighting technology is being used, how advanced that lighting technology is, and sort of whether or not the TV has extra filters to help make the picture, brighter and more colorful. That's pretty much it. It's pretty simple, right? Well, sort of. Within each of those two types of TVs, there's a lot of different tech that's all worth explaining. New TVs, obviously still coming out every year, and TVs in each of these categories are all still being made and improved on every single year. OLEDs got brighter, mini LEDs got cheaper, and local dimming took a big step forward. But just to be thorough, let's break each one of these down tech by tech so you know exactly what you're buying. So let's go ahead and start at the bottom, Edgelit LED. These are still around and they're still not really all that great, at least for 2025. These are the cheapest kind of TVs being sold out there, and you usually can tell. Like when you go to Walmart or Target and there's like that huge wall of TVs that you see, the ones that are a little bit dimmer, a little bit more washed out than all of the other ones, those are going to be your Edgelit TVs. I guarantee that next time you go, you'll be able to tell the difference. Edgelit TVs are exactly what they sound like. The backlight is only along the edge of the panel, and they try to spread that light across the screen. The result of that is you get a brighter picture just on the edge of those screens. The center tends to be a little bit more dim. You get basically uneven brightness, and more than a few of these units tend to give up a little bit too early. Now, there is a place for these, maybe like a garage gym or maybe like a kitchen if you want like a smaller size set or something. Or if you have a razor thin budget, then great. These are readily available. Otherwise, I would just skip it. Next up is DirectLit LED, and this is where things get pretty decent on the low end. These have a full backlighting across the entire surface of the screen instead of, just the edges, so you get more brightness and better reliability. They're great for secondary rooms, like things like guest rooms, playrooms, home offices. Oftentimes you'll see these in stores advertised as Fire TVs or Roku TVs, and oftentimes you can grab a solid 65-inch DirectLit model for less than like $300 from brands like Insignia, Hisense, or Vizio, and a few others. They're sort of like the stock Honda Civics of TV. They're not glamorous, there's nothing flashy about them, but they're very dependable and they do last for a pretty long time. Now let's take a little step up in the technology from that and talk about full array local dimming. When anyone, whether it's like a friend, a stranger in a store, or someone online, or even like my mom who poor thing cares exactly 0% what kind of TV is on her wall, when I'm recommending TVs to anyone, I'm making sure that it has full array dimming. For me, that is the bare minimum for 2025 and kind of for most people. These TVs break up the backlight into zones that can sort of dim independently, not turn off, just dim independently. So if you're watching a night scene with a bright moon, the moon stays bright and the background will stay dark. It's a pretty big difference. Now, how good that local dimming is sort of determines if there's going to be a glow or bloom around that bright object, i.e. the moon. The better the full array local dimming is, the closer that it will look to OLED. It's a massive upgrade from basic LED. The good news for you is that local dimming is not premium priced anymore. In 2025, you can get solid zone counts for well under $600. Something like the TCL Q7 packs hundreds of zone, has really good brightness, great contrast, and it doesn't torch your wallet. Just a few years ago, you'd be paying double for that kind of technology. Okay, so now you're getting into that acronym minefield in TV tech. So first up is QLED. It stands for Quantum Dot LED, and yeah, that's a real thing. Quantum dots for TVs are a layer of microscopic crystal particles that are placed over the screen to sort of help create a brighter and more vibrant image. QLED as a TV technology, it works. It's great. The problem with QLED is the branding. Samsung flips between calling it QLED and Neo QLED. Hisense calls it ULED, and LG said, move over nerds, that is not complicated enough, and brought out QNED. But all of that is just quantum dot tech layered over LED panels. That's pretty much it. But here's really what matters. Quantum dots are not competing with local dimming. They actually complement it. So if you see QLED with full array local dimming, that's awesome. You're getting more vibrant color and better contrast, and that combo hits the sweet spot in 2025. Models like the Samsung Q70D, TCL Q7, or Hisense U7N are delivering very strong performance, usually under that $1,000 range. They're great for movies, sports, gaming, you name it. MiniLED takes all this up a step further, and it isn't just a fancy name either. It's a real upgrade in the tech. Instead of regular sized backlit LEDs, MiniLED uses, you guessed it, mini LEDs, like thousands of them instead of hundreds. And that means more local dimming zones, more precision, and far less annoying, like blooming, where like the light areas will bleed into the darker ones. And as far as the TV technology is concerned, these will get closest to that OLED look and do some things better than OLED TVs. MiniLED used to be for big spenders, but not really anymore. In 2025, it's gone fully mainstream. TCL and Hisense have models well under $1,000, like the TCL QM8 or the Hisense U8N, which those will hit between 2,000 and 4,000 nits of brightness. And if you don't know anything about nits, that is bright enough to put the TV outside in bright sunlight, and the image will not get washed out. They are fantastic to have in a bright sunlit room, and the HDR content on these screens really pops. So depending on which mini LED you're getting, it gets really close to that OLED look without really needing to pay for those OLED prices. At this point, we've mentioned it so much, we might as well just go ahead and talk about it. OLED, the pinkies up fancy TV of TV tech. This is the one that lights up your eyeballs and, unfortunately, could empty your bank account, depending on the size and model that you get. The nice part about OLED is that it doesn't use a backlight, sort of like a light bright where each pixel will light itself up. When that pixel needs to be black, it just turns off. That's how you get those perfect blacks and that insane contrast. The pixels are just off. For a long time, OLED's Achilles heel was brightness, but thankfully, that is a problem of the past. This year's models are hitting around 1,500 to 4,000 nits, depending on the type of OLED that you're looking at. And yes, there are different types of OLED, but for 2025, there's like 3 of them that you need to worry about, so let's go ahead and go over those. Right now, WOLED is pretty much the standard. They use red, green, blue, and white subpixels. You'll see this in TVs like LG's C5, B5, or Sony's 2024 Bravia 8 model. These are affordable, I guess affordable for OLEDs. They're reliable, they're still jaw-dropping compared to other LED-based TVs. The second type is QD-OLED, which will combine OLED with those quantum dots that I was talking about earlier. You get the deep blacks of OLED plus the color punch of QLED, sort of the best of both worlds. And they're more expensive, yeah, but it's also award-winning for a reason. The Samsung S95D and Sony's 2025 Bravia Mark II are peak eye candy for QD OLEDs. And then there's the newest type of OLED. It's called 4-stack OLED, sometimes referred to as tandem OLED. This is LG's counter to QD OLED. So instead of adding a quantum layer to the screen, it sort of layers OLED elements instead for sort of a similar benefit. The LG G5 uses this, and while QD OLED may technically be a better TV technology, the results of tandem OLED in person are right there with QD OLED, with pretty negligible differences between the two. Okay, so here's the thing about OLED. If you want that top picture quality and you're okay with the price that might come along with it, any of these OLED types will absolutely blow you away. The differences between them are subtle unless you're doing sort of like a side-by-side comparison of them in like a very dark room. But for most people, they're close enough that price and size will be deciding factor of them, not the specific OLED technology inside of them. And where brightness was OLED's old Achilles heel, its new one is size. Once you go beyond 77 inches, the price just gets cartoonish. LG has a 97-inch TV, which they will very gladly stick their hand out and say, $20,000 please, which is a lot for a TV. Most people, OLED sweet spots are in that sort of 55 to 77 inch range where the value is actually reasonable. Okay, so what should you buy in 2025? If you need just a screen that turns on just to play whatever you want on the TV, just grab a $300 to $400 DirectLit LED from like TCL, Roku, or Hisense. That'll do just fine in like a secondary room. If you want a great everyday performance without overspending, look for a quantum dot TV with local dimming. Ones like the TCL Q7, the Hisense U7N, and the Samsung Q70D. These are all solid all-arounders that often are well under that $1,000 sweet spot. But if you care about picture quality or you're setting up in a very bright room, then MiniLED is gonna be where it's at. The TCL QM8 and Hisense U8N punch well above their price. Samsung's QN90D is also excellent as well. But if you're going all in and you want the best of the best, OLED, of course, is still going to be the king. The LG C5 gets you in the door. The Samsung S95D and Sony Bravia Mark II are gonna be the heavyweights within this class. The difference between all these really stands out whenever you're watching it in a dark room. Once you've seen true OLED blacks, everything else will just feel like a compromise. Okay, so after all this, what's the bottom line? The tech in TVs is better than ever in 2025, but the names are also gonna be more confusing than ever. It's better if you focus on what actually impacts your experience, things like brightness, contrast, dimming zones, and price. If you focus on all of that stuff, then you're actually gonna land on something really great for you. Just don't let yourself be taken away by the marketing machine. You got this. So thank you so much for watching. If all of this helped cut through the chaos, make sure to hit that like button and share it with someone else who's trying to also navigate the TV shopping in 2025. It's tough out there. And subscribe to The Viewing Angle for more grounded tech takes just like this one. I'll see you in the next one.